vast worlds of He-Man and She-Ra. Join Shawn and Matthew Duke as they discuss the history and mystery of Eternia and Etheria, diving deep into all incarnations of Masters of the Universe.
Hey, you know who's back? It's the Legends of Grayskull podcast. Now that you know, let's go get ready for the show. It's the Legends of Grayskull podcast. Sit back and enjoy the ride. Right now.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Legends of Grayskull, the fan podcast that covers the history, the mystery, the magic, and mythology of He-Man, She-Ra, Eternia, Etheria, Order, Primus, New Adventures, Old Adventures, Ladybird, UK, Comics, Mini Comics, anything and everything you can think of with that Masters Universe. Princess of Power! That Mondo logo in the corner? I'm Matthew Duch. Back again with Shawn Scavarna, and we got Curtis Ackerman riding shotgun. How we doing today, boys?
Excellent.
Very well, sir. It's been so long since I heard you do that outburst that I completely forgot what I was in for.
It's
fun, isn't it?
This is what happens when you do a sabbatical.
No, I have not used that really since you've left. We're doing our L.O.G on MYP mini-series right now. For those of you guys that don't know, that's me and Curtis, and that's got a whole different intro. So, yeah, we've that brought me back as well. I wasn't sure I could do it until I did it. So,
hey, don't know what you can do until you try, right? That's how it works. So
that's it. All right, so we are here today. We're gonna get right down to it. We're on July 26th. San Diego Comicon kicked off last night, and lots of info coming out. Today, we are specifically going to talk everything coming out from Mondo. We're going to have some other stuff in the works. Eventually, Legends of Grayskull will touch on all the aspects, but right now, we're going to focus on the Mondo. Curtis, you're going to be our picture guy. So what we got, what are we starting with here?
I think let's start with what they actually had on display, and then we'll talk about some of the reveals. So
sounds great.
Let's do that. So starting off, Lion-O was a big one. And I know this isn't Masters, but you know, MOTU adjacent.
As long as you know, I thought I was going to have to explain to you that Thundercats was a different product.
No, it's different. But you know, we do have the new Scare Glow and Scare Mare available.
So that is, I should probably pull up prices. I know it's a bundle pack.
It's $275 for Scare Glow and $599 for Scare Mare.
But then you can get them together for like $7.99.
Yeah, something like that.
So a little bit of savings if you're gonna get them both.
You know, I don't. Did either of you guys order this or either part of this?
I have not.
Battle Cat walking through.
Right.
Yeah. I have not. I shouldn't.
Okay.
But I don't know. Scaramare looks fantastic. However, this is the first appearance. Mondo was allowed to create this character, who is now going to be a canon Masters steed, but it's completely new. Looks fabulous. I don't know if you got more pictures there, but she's got the fire effects, translucent on it. It's amazing. I can't justify getting a ton of beasts in this line. However, there is, I don't know if you have the shot where Scaramare is like reared up on its hind legs.
Don't.
That's probably in the promo stuff. But it makes me want to. I look at Scaramare and I go, there's going to be a Swiftwind, and I'm going to be in trouble when Swiftwind hits. Because Swiftwind is going to be a must-have for me to go beside my Battle Cat. But yeah, Scaramare on its own, that's an easy pass. It's the Scare Glow that's very tempting because I really love what they did with this. wasn't a huge fan of the first Mondo rendition. And then the second classic version, Scareglow, I thought was better, but it was too much to me, just the vintage toy in a bigger scale. And so I think this is like the best Mondo interpretation of Scareglow. I really like what they did with the chains, the cloak, a bit more 2000X design elements. I think it's a very well done Scareglow, so he is definitely tempting.
Yeah, I mean, first off, Scareglow here is 12 inches tall. So it looks like Scaremare's to the top of his head is a little bit more than 12 inches, probably 12 and a half, maybe 13 inches. But then with those wings, like you're talking 24, 25 inches tall.
Yeah, the wingspan is 54 inches spread out.
I mean, that's a lot of space to take up in a collection for a character that nobody knows anything about, that's brand new, that nobody has attachment to. Like this is a character that I think if it was in a 1/12 line, I could see people wanting to get, but at 1/6 and for $600 and nobody has an attachment to this, I mean, it's not for me. I don't know. I think Shawn was saying that on the Mondo boards there are some people that are excited about it, and I'll let him kind of talk about that. But I just don't get it. I do agree with you. I think this may be the best Scareglow that we've seen. I think the details on this are just amazing. I love kind of like the it's in black, but it kind of looks like muscle and stuff in there, and the bone looks really good. A lot of details in the face, articulated jaw, even just like the wraps on the legs, and just kind of where the bones are connecting. It looks really good in the tattered cloth and stuff.
Yeah. And it comes with the Carrick Knoll face for the first time, kind of what they envisioned he looked like as a human before he died. And it comes with like a midway face. I'm going to swipe your presenting for a second here just to show you guys.
Yeah, I don't see that on the display that they had those faces.
So here's the picture I was talking about with like that is a total Swiftwind pose. And I'm like, I'm going to need a Swiftwind. And then here's the Carrick Knoll face,
which is kind of interesting, having like a human type face on the Scareglow body.
Right. Like kind of a Death Dealer helmet.
Yeah, like you would think if you wanted to use that face that you wouldn't have the bones on the body, but anyway.
And then he's got like the transformation.
Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, he comes with, and then of course they always have to include a vintage toy head that nobody's going to use. I didn't realize he had kind of a Ghost Rider head too. I had not seen that yet, with some translucent flames. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then there's the full pack out. So
yeah.
Ton of stuff, and they come with a mini comic too for the first time. Mondo's including a mini comic.
Yeah, I mean, my area that I live in and lived in as a kid did not have like the last wave or two of Masters, so I didn't know about Scareglow, the character, until I was an adult, and so I have no attachment to this character. And with the amount that they're churning out on the 1/6 scale, he's just one that doesn't make the cut for me because I don't have a nostalgia attachment to him. That being said, this thing looks amazing.
Absolutely.
So, I don't fault anybody for wanting to buy this, but the Scaremare I don't get. Like that doesn't, I don't get that one. It does look on here. It says the Scare bundle is $775 if you get them together.
Oh, so even, And I believe they usually offer free shipping too. So with the higher price stuff.
Shawn, your thoughts on this one?
So on the show in the past, I've always been somebody who loves the idea of progressing the line past the vintage that we knew as kids, because it's like the nostalgia can only go so far before me personally, I get bored, because the nostalgia is great, but imagine what could be out there on Eternia. Imagine all the other things they never gave us as kids, or wherever your imagination wants to go, there's a chance that there is something out there in Eternia similar to that. And for me, it's like, this is one of those times where I'm like, okay, they're putting something new into the mythology now. Scaremare's there. The name is driving me nuts to say and hear multiple times. Yes. I'm gonna say I don't know what I would rather had them call the horse, but saying Scaremare all the time almost makes me want to say Care Bear, and that just bugs me. So on a naming level, I'm not thinking it's the greatest thing that's ever happened. But then again, they also had Fisto when I was a kid, so whatever. Yeah. I think that the horse is impressive, and the fact that now we are getting more beasts into this line. I'm right there with Curtis in that way, where it's like, depending what your shelf space is, and depending what other things you collect on top of these, this is going to warrant a decent amount, just like Battle Cat did, just like Panther did, and then it's Swift Wind's on the way. Who knows? So I can see his point that here's a character or a beast in the mythology that now is just, here it is, and you can either love it or hate it. I don't know why. I think I said it once before. I kind of wanted to see Scareglow on a bat instead of a horse, because there's already, She-Ra's cool on the horse and all that stuff. I thought a bat would have been more interesting, like being something, because they have the bat iconography. They just don't go there with Masters. But I also think it works as like the Headless Horseman kind of vibe, because that cloak he has always gives me that vibe. I was
just gonna say, let's be honest, it's a horse because they want to make Swiftwind.
That's
why it's a horse.
That's the main thing. That's the main conceit, because I think I could be completely wrong on this, and I'll own to it if I am, but I would say the people who would want to buy Swiftwind probably are not as many as someone who wants this badass horse this way, that it could be like a metal looking thing on your shelf, because Swiftwind's probably going to be very brightly colored and all this stuff. And I'd wonder what their numbers for selling She-Ra was. And maybe that's why they're like, let's put this out instead of a Swiftwind right away or something. Then we have use of that buck, and then Swiftwind is for the people who wanted She-Ra. That's just me spitballing. I don't know what their numbers are. I don't have any knowledge, but
I would think they did this one first because Swiftwind would be the better seller, and so they want to get this one on people's shelves beforehand, because
just to turn a profit from what they did.
I think it also lets them work the kinks out of it before they get to Swiftwind.
And I think it's the space issue, right? So like, people are going to buy Swiftwind no matter what. That is She-Ra's sidekick. That is a main character.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about like people that maybe their whole collection might be Skeletor and Panther, and then Battle Cat and He-Man. But I could also see people have Swiftwind and She-Ra and He-Man and Battle Cat, and that could be their whole collection.
Right.
Yeah.
So if we can get this one on their if we release Swiftwind first, they're going to sit there with a Battle Cat and a Swiftwind going, I don't have room for a Scaremare.
Mm-hmm.
But if they release Scaremare, oh, cool, yeah, he looks cool, I'll get him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Swiftwind, well, I had to have Swiftwind. I know I don't have space for him, but I still have to get him because he's Swiftwind.
Yeah, I'll make room.
So. But yeah,
there's also something on this that bothers me about this design. This looks like a weak human arm holding the Batwing. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I've been going to the gym with my wife, and there's like some older ladies at the gym that are there every day, and they're very trim, but they're still old ladies, so they don't have like huge giant muscles, but they it looks like this. Like, this is what it looks like, a fit old lady arm holding a wing.
Now I can't.
And it looks like a fist right here holding on, like two weak arms holding onto these wings for dear life. Like
1 and 2.
I don't know. It's just something about it looks odd to me. Like,
especially
when you look at the back, back up and look at it, it's like, what are these human arms doing on this horse holding these wings? Like, I don't know.
Because it should be skeletal bird wings, and instead
You would think so.
It's a it is a skeletal muscular arm bone. Like,
yeah,
that is interesting.
I feel like maybe they did it that way just with the intention of if they do a bone or something, there is that element of maybe it'd be too brittle to, you know, pop it out or pop it in or whatever, and then they'd have more QC issues. So having it where it's a little bit more padded with the bone around, or not the bone, the muscle around it is what I'm trying to say.
I agree.
And then
I wouldn't be surprised if we see this same piece right here as an arm for some character down the road.
I was just wondering if it would be right for like a Prince Adam, if they did like a teenage, like 2000X.
I could see
Adam,
that.
Like possibly.
But
Scareglow himself, like he was one that I was going to have FOMO over, and for some reason I don't now that I see him. That surprised me on a lot of levels because he's become one of my favorites over the time since I started with classics and everything. But in this case, it's the first time I look at a Mondo and I'm like, that's almost too much detail to take in for me when I look at him. And it's not that that's bad. I love detail, but when I see it on him, it's almost like, wow, they just went for it. And for some reason, that's so much detail that I'm like, I'm okay with this right now because there's an element of so much detail on here that I look at my other figures and I go, well, now they need more detail because he's got more bling than they got bling almost. So it's like the balance is shifted. It's really weird.
It is super hyper realistic. Like,
yeah. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But in my brain, the way my OCD works when it comes to this is like he's so hyper thing that it's like He-Man needs some more definition to his muscles now and some of this stuff, which is really
I could definitely see this being somebody's only Mondo though. Like if if somebody wasn't a MOTU fan, if they just may just want this cool ass skeleton, guy with these soft goods and stuff. I mean, it's a great looking figure, but I can see what you're saying. Like when you put it with the rest of your collection, it's probably going to look a little bit off.
It's like they amp this up to 20 in my opinion, and that's great. And I do like what I see, but it's like it's so much that I probably would be at least half a day looking at all the details they put into this figure. And at the end of the day, then I look at my others and go, man, you guys look bland now. And I mean, it's a blessing and a curse. Like the Horsemen are the same way when they do certain things. When they start upgrading to a different way of making a figure, then you're looking at the old ones going, well, damn, like why couldn't they be this? Like because they've refined it and they've upgraded as they've gone along. But I'm not going to be able to do this one, but it is a gorgeous figure. It's just like, wow, is the detail amazing and intense on this guy.
Yeah.
And you have until August 9th, actually. We got until August 9th to pre-order. So
not going to spend much time on this because it's not MOTU, but Mondo did have some other things. You've got a Spiderman, which looks really good. I don't need a 12-inch Spider-Man, but I think it looks good.
It almost looks good. Same with the Venom.
Okay. You don't like the cell shading?
I hate cell shading on figures. It never looks right to me. I think
this one looks good with the cell shading.
He looks better. It still doesn't. But the Spider-Man and Venom were actually really tempting. I saw them like as thumbnails first. Then when I clicked on them, I'm like, ew, no, never mind.
Omega Red, which they've shown this one a couple times now, so that one looks cool. You've got Gambit's been out for a while, and that's a blurry picture, but
and those are all still 1/6, right?
Yeah, this is all 1/6.
The Batman Beyond's pretty cool. Not gonna lie,
it is cell shaded though.
That works for that.
It works in the black and the gray though. Like
I mean, like for that one in particular, I agree it works, but. Like when I look at the others, it makes the figure look flat to me with the cell shading, which really, and that's a feat in and of itself.
And even the Spider-Man isn't as bad. That Venom looks really bad, though.
Yeah, the Venom is
it's too much.
Not
The red and blue were subtle highlights on the cartoon that you didn't even notice in every shot. And here it's like, I'm red and blue, blah.
Some other Mondos in 1/6 scale. You know, you got Creature, Megan, Creedy, and Nada from They Live. He's even got his little sunglasses here and stuff. You know, once again, 12-inch figures. Well, Megan will be a little bit shorter, but you know, I don't know who necessarily is buying these. I doubt many people are buying all of the stuff that Mondo's putting out.
No.
But there may be somebody that's a huge fan of, you know, one of these movies that's like, I just need this in my collection. The soft goods look great. So
I only know who one of those is.
Okay.
Now the question is,
you don't know here to chew bubblegum, what kick ass and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
I know the quote. I never knew what that was from.
It's basically Roddy Piper. So
gotcha.
Then we've got the Lion-O, which, you know, looks amazing. I'm not a huge Thundercat guy, but the details of the fur and everything on this are just phenomenal.
Yeah, and they really could have cheaped out and basically just reused the He-Man body for this one and painted it. But the fact that they went through and sculpted the furred limbs, I got to give them props.
I mean, the original Thundercats figures didn't have like textured.
That's what I'm saying.
It was all just smooth. So yeah, you're right. They could have just gone easily on this, but you know, just like Shawn was saying with the Scareglow, they amped this up to like 20.
That snarf face though really freaks me out.
There are a few people online I saw that they're like, can't sleep, Snarf will eat me. Can't sleep, Snarf will eat me.
I think.
Yeah,
I think it's mostly the looking up, which I know it's supposed to be like he's looking up at Lion-O, but like they should have just sculpted him looking like forward normally. Like Relay doesn't look up at Skeletor.
Do you think that head is on a ball joint? I mean, it looks like the legs move. This looks like a joint here.
I don't think. I think it's like the Relay and all those other creatures. I think it's just going to be like a PVC like statue. Like Relay and who are the other ones? Cowl and all the other ones they've done. Okay. But maybe it does. Maybe it does move around. But then why would they paint the eyes to the top of the head? Because even if you put the head down, those eyes are still going to be looking up like he's.
That's true.
Yeah.
Couple swords. Got one with the kind of electric, powers on it. I don't know if I didn't see if they give you a short one. I didn't.
Yeah, it's in the claw shield.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, got. Oh, yeah. Well, not in that picture.
To the left of that.
Yeah, right here. Okay, cool.
Yeah, see it. There it is. And it looks like it can.
Do we know if it's removable from there?
I think it'll swap between the two types of shield, but that's just a guess on my part.
Then a few different faces. You've got this more kind of cat-like face.
Top head.
Weird hat guy.
Yep.
The growling kind of fierce face, and then yellow eyes. Basic look. I think it feels like this is the same head that they've got on it in the display case, but without the yellow eyes. So it looks like this head, you get two of the exact same head, but one with yellow eyes and one with regular eyes.
Really?
I'm pretty sure that's the same face.
I think it is the same, but it's just the activating Thundercats hoe moment.
Yeah. You always got to activate your hose before you use them.
Definitely.
Well, that or sight beyond sight.
Oh, dang it. We're in Legends of Grayskull. My apologies, guys.
And price to be determined August 24. So
I would assume the 235 kind of standard.
Didn't mean to do that. When I just closed all my windows. So let me get that back up.
Closed all the windows. You didn't even stop sharing.
Nope, I closed everything.
Pretty exciting stuff. I don't need to get into a Thundercats line again. 1/6 scale, I gotta pick and choose. It's not just like I'm collecting masters. It's I'm collecting key characters from masters. Like I cannot dip into Spiderman and Thundercats and masters and whatever else they throw out. So I appreciate it all, and I'm glad that they're doing all this for those who want it. But yeah, I'm gonna stick with masters, and honestly, I'm pretty close to like I'm pretty complete. Other than the looming Swiftwind over my head, that's about the only Mondo I could really see myself being like that is a need for my collection in the 1/6 scale.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For me as of right, like when I was a kid, I was into pretty much every cartoon that was out.
Right.
So one way or another, I was a fan of something. But you know,
I'm a fan, but
if you
$10 figure versus $235 figure.
Well, no, but
Right.
what I mean, like you know, like it is cool to see that there's a Thundercats version coming out. But like my allegiance was way more Masters, more than Thundercats any day of the week. And but I really enjoy seeing the designs they're doing, because I like that it's not just here's what you saw on the show. I like that they're doing the Mondo treatment just like they did with Masters, and the look of Lion-O. Actually, he's got this really cool like regalness, but it also feels like home at the same time. So yeah, and there's certain ones in that line I would love. I mean, Mumra's probably going to be a different buck and be bigger, which that's think of that 12-inch, you know, the 12-inch size of this line, and then like Mumra's probably going to be like 15 or 16 inches then, so we can tower over Lion-O.
Yeah, it'd have to be at least kind of the Beastman to He-Man
At least
type of scale. So
yeah,
but yeah,
All
it's.
Let me
And
share
I
my
like that.
screen.
I like that with that Lion-O that it looks like they kind of took some inspiration from the 2011 Thundercats series as well, especially with the armor, but more classic. So like, I like that. Again, Mondo, it's their typical formula, which works well. Let's take a dash of the original, a dash of the remake, and a dash of our Mondo goodness and see what comes out.
Yeah, they do some. I love the Mondo take on a lot of this stuff, just because they're keeping the core of it what you want it to be, at least.
Yep.
But they're giving you like cranking it up to 20. So.
Hold on 1 second.
No, we got one more second.
I thought I had it, but I didn't.
I believe in you.
All right. Share my screen here. Okay, so we've got Buzz Off. Now this is still 1/6 scale, 3D render.
Yep, as they do. That I mean, that's what Mondo does. They're 1/6 scale. So,
which it doesn't quite look 2000X, and it doesn't quite look Filmation. It's definitely like a Mondo-ish version of this. We also got a look at the back of it. So it looks like it does have two separate connectors for each of the lower wing and the upper wing for each side. So it's not just one connection. So those should move independently. And here's kind of a better look at the face there. But yeah, it's definitely a Mondoized version of this thing. You know, once again, kind of like what we said with the Lion-O, you've got textured arms and stuff that isn't just like your basic arm that they've used. In a super textured torso. Like that's, yeah,
it's got that insectoid hard shell body. I really like it. Instantly recognizable as Buzz Off. The colors are great. I love that they captured that green of his eyes from the vintage figure. You know, it looks great. But yeah, it's very much the Mondo version. It's an easy pass for me, but I appreciate it. Like, if I had unlimited, you know, recreational income, it would be on my shelf.
I could see them getting some reuse out of this for a clawful.
Yep.
You know, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that. I mean, you throw a big claw on here, take off the wings. You know, maybe some minor modifications, but I think they could definitely get some use out of those parts. So, you know, similar kind of what you were talking about with the scare mare.
Yep.
You know, I look at these things and I'm like, okay, how else are they going to use this? So
Yeah, I mean, really, with those wings connecting into just plugs, like you could easily design a shell piece like Classics did to snap in the back there. And then obviously the upper legs are an easy reuse. They shared legs in the vintage too. Like, yeah, I could definitely see a clawful being built off of this.
Any other thoughts on this one, Shawn?
I've been wondering what a Mondo Buzz Off would look like. He was one of the first ones that I remember, like, other than the ones I really want, like Fisto or whatever. And Buzz Off was always one of the top ones. I was curious. Now that I see it, it's like, I love it. I wish I had the funds to just buy as many of the figures I'd like. He's one that he doesn't make my list, but if I can get him eventually, he'd be a fun one to get on the shelf.
Oh, I bet this would be awesome to have in hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, to me, it's not even the funds. I mean, yeah, these things aren't cheap, but it's just the space. Like, I would love to have all of these, but it's I just don't know where you're going to put it all. Like, you would almost have to have like a whole separate house just to hold all these Mondos.
Well, luckily I have a basement, so I can just line
that's
them up.
true.
So if anybody wants to just send me all of the Mondos, I will happily line them all up over here for you.
So that's Buzz Off.
Real quick, can you go back to the first slide of Buzz Off? And this doesn't have to do with him, but do we know why they have the Chinese or Japanese, whichever they are, symbols on the side? Has anybody talked about that at all? Like,
No,
I've not heard anybody talk about it.
All right, it's just kind of a weird choice. Like, I haven't seen that before with Mondo, and I'm not sure what it has to do. And it was on like
these images were presented at a panel at San Diego Comicon, so I don't know if they were just making it, some of the stuff available in other languages. I don't know.
Oh, maybe that's what it is. Yeah. I don't know. Just interesting that's included. It's like their whole presentation has that around the border, and I thought maybe somebody had heard what that's all about. Yeah.
I haven't.
All right, moving on.
And then the other one that they showed a preview for, and we don't have really great pictures of this, but they didn't show any like up close photos, but it's Manny Faces, and apparently he comes with a cape. He's got several different faces, not just the three that we're used to, but he's got some other ones in there as well. This is one that, once again, the original Manny Faces, you look at the arms and legs and stuff, and there's definitely some reuse with some other figures. The legs for sure. I'm immediately thinking, oh, are we getting like a Zodak or whatever? Like, or no, that was no, Roboto would have the same leg, right? Yep. Did he have the same arms too? I think he did, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Mondo might mix some stuff up a bit, but yeah, definitely some of the parts reused.
Yeah, I could see a Roboto. And then got some other accessories here, including another character.
I found some up close pics if you want me to jump in.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, we both did it at the same time. So you got Squinch the widget. You've got a Skeletor head for him. You've got a potion going back to his mini comic origin. Then you've got his traditional gun. You've got a mace, and then the blaster rifle that we're used to from lots of the vintage toys.
Now, the Squinch is definitely a Filmation-y look, but this doesn't feel like a Filmation-y figure. So
no, it's like they did with Relay with the Skeletor, and even Imp with Hordak, like
just kind of a little extra, huh?
Yeah, those little PVC figures are always just pure Filmation, no matter what. Like that first Skeletor is very much Mondo's take on Skeletor, and yet it came with a Relay that looks like he jumped right off the screen.
And what are we thinking is going on with the Skeletor head?
It looks. I don't know if it's supposed to be the disguise for him or just a way to get an alternate Skeletor head out there.
Yeah.
because
Like
they're
I could
definitely
see if it was a Skeletor head, like on the other side with it, where it's one of the plates that goes in there. But as a full Skeletor head, I'm not sure what's going on with that.
right. Well, we know
I also don't know what's going on with the cape. Is that something that we've seen before in another iteration?
Filmation. Yeah,
Yeah.
he when he performed in, I think it was Mystery of Manny Faces, actually his origin episode. At the end, they show him performing, and he's got the costume on, which is what that is. And then in Filmation episode, The Shadow of Skeletor. Oh no, he had a Beastman disguise in that. So I don't know.
Well, I'd imagine the Skeletor deal is because of the mini comic, just like the potion. Maybe they did it to tie.
That's what I'm.
It looks Filmation, but it also looks a little like the Mark Zero artwork.
Looks more mini comic to me. Yeah.
So you could have it's not quite Filmation, but it's like you could also put that on there, and it isn't like the vintage toy version. It's more like a vintage-esque nod, though.
Yeah.
And then what's interesting, before I go to the other side of the panel, but like this Manny Faces looks like the vintage figure, or at least the vintage concept art, like come to life. Like there's very little Mondo in it to me, and I think that's actually
bulky.
He's bulky, but he's just like, it's kind of like that classic Scareglow they did, where it's like that's just a vintage figure blown up, you know, or the vintage concept. Like there's not much Mondoizing in this one. It's very much just here's Manny Faces, which
we just said that on the Buzz Off one is very much their take. Yeah, I don't see much of their take on this for sure.
Exactly. And then so the other side,
other than maybe some of the extra faces.
Yeah, so we've got his human, robot, and monster, but then he's got a bunch of different looks at that. He's got like a plane, a snarling, and a happy face,
and whatever. What's that one underneath of it?
That is from the vintage concept art. That's what his human face looked like in the vintage concept art. That green with the white. Okay. Then he's got all the different monster faces: scared, confused, growling, mouth closed. Then he's got his two types of his classic robot face, and I'm not sure why. Like one has gray eyes and one has blue eyes, and then he's got a couple white ones, which I think the white ones were concept art. I'm not sure what the difference between the other two robots is supposed to be. Obviously, the bottom is the vintage toy. And then he's got like a He-Man head, but he's got the Manny Faces like eye mask thing. So
between face plates and actual heads, you got two full heads with the He-Man type 1 and the Skeletor, and then 12 face plates. That seems a little excessive to me.
Yes.
Like I don't know that we need, 14 different looks for one figure.
Well, maybe
he is Manny Faces. I mean,
yeah,
it kind of lives up to the name.
Yeah,
maybe they're hoping you'll buy 14 Manny Faces so you can display them all.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. It's it's definitely overkill. Like I would have been fine with one each human robot monster, then throw in the He-Man Skeletor and then the prototype, the concept art ones. Like that would have been plenty for me.
Yep. And then the showstopper, I think what got a lot of folks talking yesterday is not only a 2000X version of He-Man.
So here's the thing. Sorry, just
go ahead.
Real quick, just to set the stage, because Shawn and I, oddly enough, I forget what, I think it was the Skelcons or something. There was some reveal earlier in the day that got me and Shawn, we started talking back and forth.
It was the Skelcon,
but we went down a lot of roads. Short and sweet. We ended up at this place where we ended up talking about like Shawn sent me the Iron Studio statues where they just showed off a King Grayskull and a Skeletor that are kind of 2000X inspired, but it's still kind of Iron Studio's take on them. And it got us talking about like, I was talking about if they could do actual like 2000X you know, I was saying statues because that's what we were talking about, like where they looked like the cartoon or looked like the figures or whatever. I'm like, that would be really cool. And, you know, we were just kind of talking about how 2000X doesn't get any love anymore. So it was nice just to see Iron Studios throwing a nod to that.
Mm-hmm.
And then literally it was within the hour. That's when these pictures come out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what we're looking at here is a Mondo 2000X He-Man, but in a 1/12 scale, not 1/6.
Yes.
So, and I think there was a promo picture that you saw later on, Dooch, that kind of makes it look like this is going to be a line
Yes.
of 2000X specifically.
Correct.
So, you know, some kind of, I guess, insider information, I guess, talking to somebody who is very active in the industry, has, you know, told me that basically there's a lot of companies now, Hasbro, Mattel, a bunch of others, that have been sitting on certain licenses, or maybe they're using a license, but they're only using one portion of it. So like right now, Mattel is using, you know, they're doing the Origins, they're doing the Masterverse, but they're really not touching 2000X. And there are certain old cartoon properties and stuff that haven't had figures for a while, and maybe somebody's been sitting on that license, not doing anything with it because of the economy that we're in right now and different things. A lot of these companies are now going to be looking for ways to kind of license some of this stuff out that really doesn't compete with them because it's different enough, but it still allows them to make some money off of this stuff. So I'm guessing that's kind of what is happening here, is that they're like, hey, you know, we're working on Origins, working on Masterverse, but we're really not touching 2000X. Let's go ahead and kind of license this out to Mondo. We'll make some money off the licensing, but we don't actually have to make the figures. And it's probably one that's not going to necessarily compete with us, because I'm guessing that these aren't going to be retail. I'm guessing this is going to be sold probably direct.
Yeah.
You're going to be addressing more of an adult collector as opposed to kind of a younger collector. And I'm guessing these are going to be at a premium price. We don't have a price yet, but I don't think this is going to be a Masterverse or Origin type price. My guess would be these are going to be $50, $60 plus.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm right there with you. I think 50 is the minimum. I'm hoping they get as close to 50 as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But it was definitely a sigh of relief. So the picture came out. I saw this image. I shared it to a group chat we're in, and I'm sitting there going, well, I at least need to get He-Man and Skeletor. And I'm basically doing the what can I get rid of to be able to afford these.
Mm-hmm.
And then in talking to everybody, that's when I didn't even pick up on, even though it says it right there. But at the moment, I was so jazzed about just the look of this. I'm thinking Mondo 1/6 scale. I'm in for $250.
Well, I mean, that's what they are. I mean, yeah. If you're not reading every detail on this,
right.
Yeah. I mean, the first thing that you should think is, well, this is going to be a 12-inch figure. So.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, but then reading the 1/12, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Like, this is not only a possibility to get this figure, but this is a possibility to get a few of these figures and actually go beyond my typical, well, I got to have He-Man, Skeletor, you know, like the main guys. Like, no, I can actually dive into this. So, I am pumped. He looks great. And of course, the first thing I wondered was if the Four Horsemen were involved in this at all. And as far as we know, they are unfortunately not. This
stage. They are not involved in this. Even though they were the ones that did do the original 2000X designs, they do not. They're currently not participating in this line. Now, that doesn't mean that down the road they won't consult them on certain figures, but as of right now, they are not involved in this line at all.
Yeah, and I did see this morning that Emiliano Santalucia is one of the lead designers of this line. So at least we do have, you know, he did a lot of work, you know, on the 2000X comic and everything else. He's a longtime fan. So it gives me hope that like this is going to continue in a good direction for this line.
Definitely. I mean, if you look at it, the head sculpt that's on him right now basically is the way he drew him in the comic, which I love the way he drew him. So if they can get that looking the way that it looked to see him in the comic, that will probably be my go-to head sculpt. But I love that, like, the different versions that you see of the heads evoke something, whether it's the toy version of it from 2000X or there's the more animated looking one or whatever. And then even the I can't figure, is that the King Grayskull or is that their nod at the fact that they wanted to go more Viking with the toy?
It's the concept art
I thought
for the Four Horsemen made for He-Man with the longer hair, that then would eventually Mike Young would use that as the inspiration for King Grayskull. So it's the concept art He-Man head. But I love the bulkiness of him. Like they did a perfect blend of the Mike Young toon look with the body build and then the Four Horsemen figure, and like got the best of both of them out here.
Now, I will throw out here that if you look at the original designs from the Four Horsemen, they looked really great too. Until you started articulating them, and based on what Mattel wanted to do, it kind of really ruined the sculpt. We don't know what kind of articulation this is going to have. We don't know if this is going to be classics, like if it's going to have double jointed arms and legs. We don't know if it's going to be seamless and it's going to have a skeleton with the kind of that rubberized skin over it. We really don't know what this is going to be. So just throwing that out there, that these renders look amazing,
right? But
it is very early on in the process.
Yeah. And Matt referenced Emiliano's post. The one thing that he put in there that I liked seeing is, he says, "I didn't take lightly that I'm playing with the Four Horsemen's designs in this line. It's a humbling experience, and I will do my best to pay them the same respect I paid to all other historic iterations of MOTU." So for my money, at least, the fact that he's been involved with Mondo for a while now. I know he had he was helping to design the deluxe version of the He-Man that came out a year ago, or a little over a year ago now. And I've been enjoying what he's been bringing to the table for the design of this. But when I saw this, and like Matt, my first initial reaction is I'm selling as much as I can to make sure I have bag for this. And then when I see it's a 1/12 and it'll be 6, maybe 7 inches at most, but probably 6, I was almost in tears going, I can do this. Like, I was so happy because I'm thinking, like, this is how I wanted He-Man in 2000X to look as a figure. And I felt like the way that Mattel tried to do the, their test audience stuff when it came to how they were creating that figure, you could tell there was a lot of different cooks in that kitchen compared to some of the other designs that the Horsemen did and stuff. And this is like spot on how I want to see this. And then my mind starts going to, well, I can't wait to see what they do with Skeletor. Oh my God, getting a web store down the line, because web store is one that I would have loved to see in 2000X as a figure. And they're a buzz off. I always loved the buzz off in 2000X more than the traditional version and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm on cloud 9 today after seeing this stuff last night.
And I like that they included, he's got what the fans have dubbed the asterisk symbol. But he also comes with the early cross symbol as a swap out for his chest harness. He's got the shield, the battle axe. He's got his 2000X power sword, along with a more. They did a more classic looking power sword when they did the Battle Armor He-Man Staction, and they've included that design here for the power sword. Hands, like we said, all the heads. Like I really have some faith in this line.
So go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say real quick here, I do have a picture of their real Ghostbusters 1/12.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna pull up here.
Because those are now in prototype form. So
correct. So this is your Egon. So it looks like it's just single joints.
Yep.
Now this is trying to be to like the cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
Let me zoom out a little bit on this. So it's it's a little bit more cartoonish looking than I think what this is going to be. But if the articulation's the same, it does look like single joints.
Yep.
On here for the most part.
A pretty standard articulation for a 6-inch figure, but
yeah, I mean depending on which it looks like it's similar to what you have in a Masterverse, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Here's Peter. They've got some bigger characters back there, but those are,
I got a good group shot of them too, if you want.
Like here's kind of a more close-up look.
Yeah.
The fact that
obviously this is pants, so the needs are going to be different than on a bear one.
These are probably the best represent. And I was thinking about it last night after like these came out, as well as the 2000X reveal and all that. And for my money, like when it comes to the cartoon versus what the toy was when I was a kid, like I loved the real Ghostbusters look for the characters more than I liked even the figures they put out back in those days. But then, and it's like Transformers, same thing. I would have rather had a cartoon accurate Optimus than the one that we had as kids. But the Masters, it's the opposite. I love the toys, and I wasn't a big fan of how they looked on the screen. So it's like I'm digging the fact that we get these. I'm digging the fact that you get Sam Hain and the Boogeyman, because the Boogeyman's tied into Egon's origin, which I love. And those were figures that when I was a kid, I'm like, how are they not making those? They're on the freaking cartoon. And instead they're giving us all of these random weird ghosts that it's like, I don't care about them. Give me the Boogeyman. Give me Sam Hain. And we never got them. So this is awesome. But these are like deluxe packs that they're going to be doing.
Correct. Yeah, they come
those
with
are 2-packs.
Yeah, well, it's more than a 2-pack because I think I don't have a green, but I think like the Venkman comes with Slimer and that character in the back, so it's actually like a 3-pack, and then Egon comes with this little guy and this one here in the back. So it's those two are like 3-packs, and then there's also going to be like extra hands and stuff with it that they didn't have on display. But go ahead.
Just seeing, because I saw their renders when they announced those, and then seeing the figures here, they did a really good job going from render to prototype. That gives me a lot of hope.
Yeah,
that He-Man's going to come out looking a lot like what we're seeing on that render.
The only thing about the He-Man that worries me when I see this, because I didn't realize, I knew they were doing the Ghostbusters. I didn't realize they were doing Boogeyman or Sam Hain or some of these other bigger. I mean, look at the Boogeyman's hair there. I mean, that's nuts.
Yeah,
and it's like that's automatically going to push that price point up on these figures. And the main thing for me when I think about the He-Man is just give me what you showed me there. Do not put in bells and whistles. Do not make this figure going over $100 for me to get these figures, because that's the main thing for me right now is like, I'm not trying to go crazy in general. And this is the first figure in a long time where I'm like, I need this again. Just like Mondo did with the deluxe He-Man. But if all of a sudden they're like, oh, we're going to throw in all these other stuff, I'm going to be like, you got to be kidding me.
Just I think I noticed, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it here, but on the cards for these, even being 1/12 scale, I don't know if I can find it, but even on 1/12 scale, it looked like they were like half a year apart. Like the 1, 2, 3-pack or whatever was, I think, like, don't quote me, but I think it was like the beginning of the year, and then the other one is going to be like the end of next year. So, I don't know what we'll be in store for with the 2000X, but if it's something like that where you only get 2 or 3 characters a year, I think you might be in for a higher price point, but with extra stuff with it.
It's cut off here, but Venkman has a 24. So he's probably Q4 of 24. And then
like
Egon's
fall,
Egon's Q1 of 25. So that's actually like,
so it's not that far apart. I thought it was further than that.
I think again it's cut off, but I would guess at worst it's Q3 of 24 to Q1 of 25. So you're just talking a few months.
Yeah.
But
they're definitely not coming out at the exact same time.
No.
And then
and that's another thing why I'm pretty sure these are not going to be retail.
No, I'm sure they'll be sold off Mondo shop just like everything else.
Yeah.
Boogeyman even comes with an extra head, apparently, where he's all big and everything. Yeah, it's going to be a heck of a pack out. Sam Hain comes with a couple extra heads, extra hands. So,
but I wouldn't be surprised if we find out down the road that like He-Man comes with some other stuff as well, that it's not just one figure.
Maybe. I think I could see them doing single packs for He-Man, because Ghostbusters is kind of like Buster and a ghost. Like I see that connection more than I see like He-Man. I could see him just going, here's He-Man, here's Skeletor.
Oh, we just got done talking about a couple of the bigger Mondos, how they like throw in all this extra stuff that you really don't need to drive the price up. I wouldn't be surprised if they do something like that, drive the price up.
I think that's going to be his pack out there, what you see. So weapons, hands, and heads, but that's not.
If this is like an ongoing line that they're hoping to have like a majority of, the main figures, and I'm hoping other figures. Like my main one for me, from my perspective, and I know Matt knows this because I've ranted about it how many times. Tuvar and Badra. I want them in I need
so bad
figures of them ever since I saw the episodes of 2000, the episode of 2000X with them. And if they finally grant me that and give me a 2000X web store that's looking a lot like the way the Staction looked, oh dear God, this is the line that could actually give me so much more of what I've been waiting for out of what we could have had. And even with Classics was never built to be this.
Right.
So this is what I've been waiting for. In the case of Ghostbusters, though, I agree. The whole here's a ghost and here's a buster. I get that. But then the other thing too with that line is Hasbro's found this out how many times. Once you get past the initial 4 Ghostbusters, you lose momentum completely.
Right.
So at least packing a Ghostbuster with one of them big name ghosts they went up against on the show, that makes sense. I'm actually curious who they're going to put Ray and Winston with, because I can't think of bigger ones right now off the top of my head, because Sam Hain and Boogeyman were 2 where it's just like they wrote episodes around them and they were great episodes.
With Ghostbusters, it's really once you got the 4 Ghostbusters, maybe Louis, Tully, and Dana, and then you're like, what do you do after that? Like that's. But with He-Man, this is
this is
we could do everybody, in my opinion.
I'm hoping that's the case. 50 to 75 is my hope, but with Mondo being Mondo, I'm actually a little nervous. But if these come out, like if they do He-Man, and I think I saw somewhere 2025 was the possibility, and I'm guessing 2025 is just them going. Maybe,
No, they said it'll be 2025 release.
So, but yeah, like I really want to see Skeletor. I'm hoping this is another me not having inside information, but me hoping. I hope that they stick to the way that the figures were initially, where they're different body types too.
Oh, I'm sure
they can do that, because I loved how Skeletor was leaner, and I loved how He-Man should be beefier, and then you have like more creatures with the leaner body that way. So
here's one part that I hope isn't the final version. Because like this is what we've been watching MYP, right?
Yes.
And here's what we've been seeing. This like fanny pack or whatever that he's got. I've not even noticed it in the cartoon because it's
in there.
But
it's not colored as
everything
obvious.
that I see on it, it's almost the same color as his loincloth, if not darker.
Yes.
Whereas here it's lighter and it's very noticeable. It just pops. It's like what's going on there? So I just hope that they change the color on that. I hope that color is darker than what it's showing here, because that's going to bug me. Oh, because I'm sitting there looking at that. I'm like, why did they put a fanny pack in the front? And then I'm looking at this. I'm like, oh, well, it's there, but it's so dark that you don't even notice it in most shots.
Just remember, it's not a fanny pack; it's a satchel.
Sure,
And
sure
there
it is.
you go.
That's
One thing I do want to call out, not to toot my own horn or anything, but as soon as they announced 1/12 Ghostbusters, this is whatever this was, like 8 months ago or whatever. I remember on Offworld, I brought it up and I said, Mondo doing 1/12 Ghostbusters gives me hope for 1/12 stuff that we do want. Whether because I didn't care about Ghostbusters. I didn't need a Ghostbusters. I know some people are over the moon and that's great. But just them touching Ghostbusters made me go, man, if they could do MOTU, or if they could do Silverhawks, or if they could do, whatever in 1/12, man, it's game over. And here we are, however many months later, 6-8 months later, and here's our first look at 1/12 Masters, and man, I'm excited. It's very cool.
I mean, you guys just called it out on your Mondo Tilo review.
Yeah.
You were talking about it towards the end there. Then
we
you
got
recorded that a couple weeks ago. So
Yeah.
We have some discussing to do with a person who comments in that, because I like how that there was Curtis and I were both going back and forth with them. And my final comment to the guy was, I want them. I don't care how. I just want them. And
Well, and we
literally
weren't-
a week later, this is what happens.
Yeah, because we weren't even predicting that they're going to do it. We were just saying if they could do it, it would be great, because the style that they use is more adult. It's more up to date than what we're getting from Origins and Masterverse. Like, listen, I'm not disparaging to anybody that collects Origins or Masterverse, but it does look more childish. It looks more for kids. Whereas the stuff that Mondo does looks like more for the adult collector. And I think that's what we're going to get in this. I'm excited.
These are, so my family has been on this, trying to get our budget back in order and get into a better place financially. And when this came out last night, I'm like, I really got to be, very tender with how I bring this up to my wife, because out of everything I've seen since we started this is the very first thing where I'm like, want, and I'm showing it to her on the phone. And, like, she saw it and she's like, as long as it doesn't break the bank, I don't mind if you get things. Just, I don't want you getting this and then 5 other things coming in the same month and this and this. And I'm like, deal. Like, I will happily. This is the one that I'm going to try to focus on now because of so many reasons that I love it. And
I would say the max that I could see this going for would be like $70.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not announcing multiple figures at once, so it's not like it's going to be a wave of like 4 figures and then a wave of, it's going to be a single figure release. They are loading it up, but I don't see it going, to like the $100 range or more. I think $70 is probably the max. More likely, probably closer to like 55, 60. But for $70, if you have to buy, let's say 3 of these a year, that's not the end of the world.
No, that's why when I brought it up to her, I'm like, this is what I would focus on. And that was the easy thing. It's like, she's seen the Mondos. She knows how much those are. I was bluntly honest with her about that when I'd get them. And it's like, this is so much more easier to swallow. And it's something that matters to me more than I expected anything to matter to me after the reveals from SDCC this year.
Man, I would have loved to be a fly on the wall at your house when the Tila came.
No, that actually, the beauty of that was the minute she saw that, I looked at her, I go, it was a gift. And she goes, okay. And that was the end of the discussion.
Yeah. Okay. We've heard that before.
Yeah. Okay.
You notice I don't have black eyes or anything. I have all my teeth still. I'm good.
So,
but
yeah, I'm thinking like max, you're looking at 6 figures a year, maybe 1 every other month. Max.
I was thinking 1 a quarter. I was thinking max 4. So
right. Well, I'm saying absolute max. Like I literally can't see Mondo producing more than maybe 6. But I think 4 is the more realistic number, which, like you said, is perfect. Like if I can just save up,
My question though is, how many people do you think will get out of the 1/6 line in order to get this?
See, I don't see them getting out of the 1/6 line. I think I could see them doing what I'm doing. Like, I could see myself getting rid of classics to fit to find space for these. Like, if I can have a whole line of 2000X, I love the series. These are looking great. Like I said, it's a perfect blend of animation and figure. Like it's like the ultimate version of this series. And so get in on the ground floor, pre-order them for retail, you know, and just hopefully go to town. Now here's my question to you guys. So we know He-Man's coming. Let's go with Curtis's 4 figures a year. What are the other 3 figures you load into this first year?
Man, I don't think they can go with all big names at first. So I don't know that you get Skeletor.
Yeah, you think they're going to bump Skeletor the whole way out past the first 4? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you do Skeletor. I think they push that off to the second year. I think maybe like a Beast Man would be a good one for the first wave. That would kind of be my first pick. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I was thinking, number one, I think you got to follow up with an Evil Warrior. I don't think you do Skeletor immediately. So, but I think kind of with you, I'm thinking, let's really show what this line can be. And I was thinking a Clawful. You get a bigger body type. You get
as long as we don't get the voice with it. If it has voice,
I hope it's got a voice chip. It's got the thing on the foot where you tap on the base.
If it's got a string where like Dark Skeletor, I don't know.
But yeah, I was between him and Whiplash for me as the follow-up because they're both big, imposing, great redesigns and to really show the range of the line. But I think Clawful's the big impact. If they,
I tell you what, we just got the episode we just got done doing. I mean, it would be a deep cut, and I don't think we'll get it the first year, but I think a Marzo would be awesome.
Yes, that would be down the line.
Yeah.
Shawn, what do you think the first follow-up figure will be? Or what would you do?
I mean, I'd almost like, I guess if I want to think about it from like if you hold off Skeletor, Beast Man would probably be one of the first of that year for me, just like classics did.
I'm gonna change my answer.
Okay.
Change my answer. I think I'm going
in the middle of Shawn's answer.
Trapjaw. Okay. Honestly,
I just think that big claw that they got in 2000X, the big like clamp thing.
So here's one thing I will say: if they make that look like the cartoon where he is a more imposing version compared to the figure that we got, I will be over the moon over that one because I love the design that the Horseman did, but I felt like once I saw the cartoon, I wanted him to be hulking, and instead he was a more leaner looking figure.
With a
if they did freaking He-Man and Trapjaw right off the bat, that would just be like, you've got me hook, line, and sinker for the rest of these if they did that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I kind of got, as much as I wanted there to just be, okay, just give me He-Man and Skeletor right off the bat, I do agree that you probably need to pace Skeletor either the end of the first wave and have him be like, okay, then we got you with him. Now you're going to go into the next wave going, I really need to get more of these.
Right.
And like, I would be shocked if Man-at-Arms wasn't one of the ones in the first wave too, because they did that even with Mondo, where he's literally He-Man, Man-at-Arms, and Teela for the main Masters cast of what they have. So, and I would like, because I thought Man-at-Arms 2000X is badass. The look of him, and especially with that cannon, I can't wait to see the Mondo cannon for him.
Some of the 2000X redesigns, I mean, like Mosquitor. There's some really cool redesigns that we haven't really seen. you know, even when we've seen them in figure form, they're still using kind of the same base bodies and stuff.
Yes.
Where it's the same size. We don't, other than the Stactions went all out. Like where it's
Right.
like, okay, if they're big, we're gonna make them big, you know, kind of thing. But yeah, if they did that with these figures and you had these different scales and stuff based on the size of the characters, man, they could do some really cool stuff.
I want to see, and I'm not a huge fan of the character, but I mean, geez, just a King Grayskull that's going to be bigger than He-Man instead of being, because like we had him in classics, but then when you look at the body types on the show, there is that feeling of it would have been kind of cool for him to be like a head or even like a head and a half taller to give that vibe like this is Grayskull, and then have He-Man be there too, you know. And
So who's your third figure, Curtis?
Well, if you go with an Evil Warrior second, then I think you got to come back and hit with a good guy, a master, and I don't think it's Tila. I don't know that they would go Man at Arms first wave. I'm gonna say something like Stratos.
Okay.
I think you do like a, you know, yeah.
I agree with your logic. Definitely come back with a master. I think He-Man, Man-Arms, and Tila, I think that's where they spread it out. Just like I don't think we would get an Evil Lyn right away. And that's why I moved away from Beastman even. Like kind of those core, you know, upper echelon, that I think that's where they spread it out. Because I think the fourth figure of the year to end the year on is Skeletor. I'm with Shawn on that one. But for my third figure, I selfishly selfish and
I know where
otherwise,
he's gonna go. I think
I'm gonna go with Snout Spout because it's one that everybody loved the staction of. It again, we're showing the varying bodies. We haven't gotten it articulated, and so it kind of runs that gamut, showing, hey, don't worry, we're gonna go to some of these later concepts, you know.
some of that the arms and legs, at least like the upper arms and the thigh area, probably could be even used for Man at Arms if they put him out in wave 2 then that way.
Yeah,
I could see them at least having those as like an under arm kind of thing for him going.
There's definitely some stuff they could do there.
Yeah,
They do Snout Spout in the first wave. I'm out.
so then
You don't love the staction?
It's all right. It's all right. Another one that I think could be a sleeper early on, because I think they would probably want to try to drive some diversity, would be Clamp Champ. If you look at like the Stactions,
Yeah,
that Clamp Champ Staction is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I think they're going to try and push the envelope there a little bit in the beginning. Or so, who rounds out your year, Curtis?
Well, if we did, it's got to be back to an evil one. I'm looking at the Stactions right now just to kind of see like the different designs of who was crazy. Because I don't think they'll go into the Horde yet.
No, you'd have. Yeah, I think you have to wait for. That's kind of the refresh.
Maybe
once you
Web
got through
Store. I'm gonna do Web Store.
Yeah, that'd be a nice
Oh
finish.
my god, they did him. Oh, I'd love that so much. So here's my question then. Is there a figure in the line you guys absolutely need them to get to make you happy as a collector? And who is that figure? Or maybe figures. You can maybe do 2 if you want to.
I think for
I know
me,
one
it's
of
the same answer as what I would have with the regular Mondos. Like I need He-Man, Man at Arms, Tila, and then I need Skeletor and his main Evil Warriors. So, you know, like right now, the main Mondo, the 12-inch version, I really just need Triclops and Evil Lyn, and I'm satisfied. I'm good.
Okay.
I guess for me, it's kind of make my collection feel complete. I mean, yeah, basically the same as the regular Mondo. You're talking the He-Man, the Skeletor, you know, the basics. For me, somebody that they have to get to for me personally, I don't know. This line's harder because I want them to get to almost everybody. Like I really want them just to go hardcore and just get to all of the regular war. I want them. What they need to do is they need to get to somebody that we never saw in 2000X and 2000X ISM.
Ooh,
That's what I need. Give me a Shakoti and Lord Mask in 2000X style.
Did you say Xanthor?
No, I did not. But yeah, that's
I was surprised.
It sure sounded to me. I don't know. That was what I heard.
That's where I want them. That's what I need them to
cool.
do. I need them to get to something we haven't seen before
and do a Mondo 2000X version.
Act like it was there and make it. That's what I need.
I think the one character that doesn't get enough love, and I feel like he's so important in every version of it, is Triclops. Like, he was one of the main evil warriors in Filmation in this 2000X. We've been going through the MYP. Like, if it's not for Triclops and his Doom Seekers and some of his inventions and stuff, like, most of Skeletor's stuff doesn't go down. So, like, I don't know. I feel like he has to be out there. Like, he's one that if he didn't get made, I'd be like, this is a disappointment.
So I need them. So just real quick, the bare minimum. They need to make the entire cast that we see in the first season of MYP. That's bare minimum. Evil and heroic warriors.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, how cool would it be to do when they do Triclops? Obviously, they would have the Doomseeker, but what if they also had the skeleton warriors that he creates to try to overwhelm the Masters?
I like it.
What if they brought it like it? And to be honest, I don't necessarily like that as a pack-in with him, because if you want to army build those, you have to keep buying Triclopses.
Yep.
But how cool would it be that they even went there? Because 2000X did, but it came with the slime pit or whatever, if I remember right. It's like having these little bits and pieces that you saw on the show, but you're getting them that you can now have. Like you can have 10 of those. And have them like around the bad guys or whatever would be awesome.
All right, I got one more question for you guys. So let's say you start collecting this line. You say I'm all in. I'm collecting everything that they come out with, and then what is the one character, vehicle, whatever that they would come out with that you're like, nope, I'm not buying that. I'm done. I'm done being all in on this line. I'm going to start picking and choosing.
I know what mine is already.
Go ahead.
I think I've already decided, and watch me be a hypocrite about this, because I am a hypocrite so many ways. I will probably not worry about beasts in this one. I will probably just go straight figures. Here's the reason. I don't like the design of the 2000X Battle Cat. It never appealed to me. And it's that's one of the flaws of 2000X for me, is that Battle Cat is not as interesting looking of a design as the original. And it is one of those few times where I could go, I just want to get the figures, and I don't need a Battle Cat or a Panther. Just give me the figures I never got out of the original line,
See, I need a Battle Cat. I need a Battle Cat. Shadow Beast would be awesome because they got an upgrade. I'm all in for Beast. Vehicles I don't need. Like, even at the 112 scale, I'm good.
So is there a character that you wouldn't buy?
The one that jumped to mind that would be an easy pass for me is actually Chief Carnivus. Like, I like the Quadians and everything, but I don't feel that they're that important to the series. And I know, like, even when Classics did Chief Carnivus, I'm like, really, that's where you go? Like, out of all the cool stuff that was introduced in 2000X, like, he's kind of bottom of the list for me. Like, I don't hate him, but like, I also don't have a huge appeal to him.
For me, it'd be the Oracle if they made him.
That was a pretty
much interest in that. It's like Orko is a 50-50 shot on my shelf anyway, depending. And I do like the design of Orko, especially what the Horseman did. So if they made him look similar enough to that figure without having him posed in the pose that he was in, I'd be like, okay, but I don't need more than one Tron on my shelf. And the Oracle would definitely not fit that for me.
How about you, Curtis?
Initially, I was going to say the Big Fish.
I thought that's what. Well, Shawn kind of went there with the beast. He just.
I'm
good
good
with-
with
yeah,
big fish,
if they do the
but then the
big
more
fish,
I
I'm
thought
like,
about
I'm
it, I was
fucking
like,
with
man,
these.
if they had a fish that kind of opened up and you could stick Man at Arms in it, that'd actually be kind of fun.
Well, my kids have a T-Rex where you like control the jaw and he swallows Imagine X figures.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like so,
That
if they
would be
did
awesome.
that, yeah.
So I'm gonna change my answer and I'm gonna say Sorceress. I'm not buying
Really,
that
you think
Sorceress.
even?
Yeah.
See, I just
Unless they recolorized it and made it the colors that from Filmation. The way that it appears in MYP, I would not buy that Sorceress.
see. She's just it's not my. That's where I kind of am with like Shawn with Battlecat. Like that Sorceress is not my favorite design, but she's too important of a character for me.
I would get
to
a
pass
stand-in,
on her.
or I would maybe I would buy it, but I would repaint it. But it's not going to go on my shelf as it appears in MYP for sure.
And like I showed you during that episode, the Horseman did do a staction that
Which
was
looked
in the
great
classic colors. So there's like they could do that. Like they could release the Sorceress and do like an SDCC exclusive where she's repainted in classic colors.
I'd be all over it. Yeah.
Here's the thing though, jumping back to Battlecat, if they do Battlecat, one of his alternate heads needs to have his eyes closed like he's knocked out.
Yes.
So then you can lay him on his side
or like a black eye.
You got those sparkly healing effects from when she healed him in Lessons. Like
So here's what I'll throw out there, and this is where the hypocrite part of me will hit. If they do it where he's got the Mondo head on him, but they probably can't go vintage. But if they do the Mondo head on him and they give you the 2000X one as well, that's where I'd run into trouble. And it depends on the price point for that one, to be honest. Because if he's like a hunk of plastic that's like 5 to 10 pounds, that would be different compared to like if these figures are, we're spitballing 60, 70-ish possibly. I mean, Battlecat will probably be 150 to 200, depending how big and all that. So
easily 125.
That's another reason why, for me, the Beasts, I'm based on if I want to get the actual figures that I want, I'm pulling back on the Beasts just because I don't need to have the grief of wanting to get into something and enjoy it instead of worrying about the bank account right now. So,
Agreed.
I'm excited. I am beyond excited for this news.
Yeah, out of everything,
it's very cool.
Not to bury the lead for when we get into other news, but like, that 2000X like made my day yesterday. Like, there's nothing better can come out of San Diego at this point.
Yeah,
like that just wins the internet.
I thought the Manny Faces was cool. I thought the Buzz Off was really cool, but neither one of those. I don't need either one of those, and I don't need the Scare Glow. I don't need the Scare Mare.
Yeah.
But this He-Man, that's a must.
And the funny thing is, for me, when it came to Mondo, I was saying like the ones that I would have the hardest time turning down after I got He-Man for the heroes would have been Fisto and Manny Faces.
Yeah.
And the funny thing was, once I saw the news about 2000X, I'm like, I'm not missing out on anything because that is what I absolutely want. And Manny Faces, like, if I get him eventually, okay. But like you guys were saying, he's so un-Mondo-esque compared to the other Mondo figures that there's that feeling in me of like, I'm okay. I think I got the ones I really want. And now I'm going to go into this 112th line and just be grinning like an idiot once they finally hit my shelf.
The one that would be like for the 12-inch line, the one that would be really hard for me to not buy, but I don't want to have is Ram Man. Like I don't really want a Ram Man, but if they put one out and I saw it and it was massive compared to the other characters and stuff.
You mean the 1/6 line?
The 12-inch.
Yeah,
the
12-inch line.
Gotcha.
Yeah, if they put out a Ram Man in that 12-inch line, but it he's really like 15 inches or whatever, and he's just this massive guy. Yeah. I'd be like, man, I don't want to spend the money on this, but like I got to.
Well,
Yeah,
you're forgetting the other one. If they do Zodak, you're automatically in
That's
because
true.
then you can customize them to be.
but I would buy that happily. Like Ram Man, I
Right.
would buy begrudgingly. I'd be like, man, I don't really want. I don't have room, and I don't want to get this, but I can't not have it. Like, look
Yep.
how great it is.
Yep.
Yep,
So
I get it.
yeah,
All right, guys. I think that's the news for Mondo. We appreciate you all joining us today. Do us a favor, click all those buttons down below. Go ahead and check out our L.O.G on MYP mini-series. And until next time, start saving for those Mondos.
Oh, come on.